So in this video, I'm going to be talking about event match quality. Event match quality is an extremely important part of Conversions API setup in Facebook ads. And I've actually given out a very important point right at the start here. Event match quality is all about Conversions API and has actually got nothing to do with the browser or aka client-side tracking. So you will have to look at event match quality as something that improves the match rate to meta accounts. So that's what Facebook really cares about, and that's what you should be caring about as well. The concept of EMQ is all about sending customer information parameters to Facebook, and those parameters are going to be used to connect or match to different meta ad accounts. And the better the match rate, the better is going to be the targeting or the people that you actually reach out to through your ads, and therefore the better is going to be the performance, because ultimately it's about connecting your ads with the people who are actually interested in whatever you're offering through your ads. So let's actually dive a little deeper, and let's look at what Meta's document is saying about this. So as you can see, it's available for website events that are sent through the Conversions API, right? So once again, just to reiterate, this has nothing to do with the browser side or client side tracking. And matched events, like I said, can help you deliver ads to people who are more likely to take the valuable actions that you really care about. Okay, so it's all about matching to meta accounts, and they can therefore help reach out to the right people who are more likely to convert, and therefore can result in better performance and lower CPAs and all of that. So event match quality is a very important and essential ingredient in the overall performance marketing or paid social ecosystem. But then there are some caveats, and there are some I won't say loopholes, but certain things that you should be aware of, be mindful of, and not just take everything at face value. So let's dive into how it is actually determined. So it is actually calculated as a score from 0 to 10, and it's based on the quality of customer information that you're sending. Now, here's one of the first caveats that you have to understand. When Facebook says it's based on the quality of customer information, it doesn't really mean the the match rate or the quality of the data. Essentially, what it really means is how much data you have sent. Okay, so it's about the number or the percentage of the events that Facebook cares about, or the event data that Facebook cares about, and not really the quality or the accuracy of it. So we'll jump just in a moment as to what are the different components of event match quality, and what are the customer parameters, the information parameters that you can send through. And it's going to be about the number of events that you have sent through rather than the accuracy of it. So even if you're sending through inaccurate data and a lot of it, Facebook is actually going to count it as a good thing. Okay, and therefore what it's going to mean is that event match quality is going to be good, but of course your ad performance is not likely to be good, right? Because you're not sending the right kind of data, and the match is not going to be with right meta ad accounts. So you're not going to be reaching out to right people, but your event match quality can actually be uh, still good. So that's the catch, and it actually considers last 48 hours of data to calculate the scores. So that's why the data freshness thing is so important. It has to be constantly updated. You should be sending through latest and fresh updated data to Meta. So that's basically what the definition is. Let us actually look at the customer parameters now, information parameters, and not all of it is just equally important. So there are different different priorities for the different parameters. So let's actually look at them. So as you can see right at the top, we have a couple of really high priority information parameters. First is email address, and then is the FB click ID. Now email address is obvious, and this has a high priority. And in most cases, what happens is if Facebook has the email address, it has the it has a good ability to match with the right meta account. So it basically can match the right kind of people who are taking actions and attribute it back to the ads, and therefore improve performance based on that. Then there is also the click ID. So the click ID, um, I'll just jump into the document for it. The click ID is a meta-generated parameter that is passed with the URL of an advertiser's website when a user clicks on an ad. Okay, so this is specifically related to ads, and this is a specific kind of uh, parameter. It's meta-generated, and it's very much like the GCLID if you're familiar with Google Ads. So and a lot of other platforms probably also have that. So it's a kind of a URL parameter that gets appended to the URL. Okay, and this sort of is the unique identifier for a particular user. So that's why it's also part of the customer information parameter matrix. So here's an example. As you can see that there's a query parameter here, FB or the FBC, FB click ID, and there's a certain value. In fact, this entire thing is the FB click ID. So it increases the conversion volume. It can improve campaign attribution performance and whatever. So all of those things. Now, then this particular document here, this is going on to explain how to retrieve this from the URL query parameter. So these are advanced things. There are get methods, post methods. A lot of things are there in the entire the web sort of technology ecosystem. What is important from us is to understand that the value that gets stored within this particular query parameter is this one, for instance. This is basically what is called the click ID value. Okay, so this is the unique identifier for the user for that particular click, and you can see that this can be this value can be available within this FBC cookie. Okay, so the FBC cookie is meant to store the click ID. That's the whole point of it, and this can be made available in two ways. This I wanted to talk about. This can happen if the metapixel is already installed on the website, but because that's what happens automatically. Metapixel automatically stores the click ID value in the FBC browser cookie, but it's also going to be possible if you can manually store it somehow within the cookie. Okay, either through the server or from backend storage, whichever. Okay, so if you want to know more about that, you can go to the store click ID section here and understand more about it. This is the format, the Conversions API payload example. This is a structured data format, as you can see, um, and it has got arrays and objects within it, and that it's basically a key value pair. So event name, purchase, event time, action source. Then you have the within the user data, as you can see, that is also an object, and that has got the FBC, the email, and phone number within it. So you're going to see a lot of this. If you're already familiar with the data layer, you probably have seen this sort of structured data, or maybe other forms of structured data if you're a bit familiar with SEO. So this is basically it, and this is just one customer information parameter that I was referring to from this document. There are other ones. These are the two: email address and click ID are the most valuable ones. So you should always prioritize. It's not about sending everything, and even if you don't have that level of good information, but you should be prioritizing, and these have the highest value. So these will have the highest impact, as you can understand, on the event match quality. Then you have Facebook login ID, date of birth, country, phone number, external ID. These are all medium along with browser ID. And then there is first name, town, city, postcode, and few other ones which have low priority. So these all are part of what's called the PII, or the personally identifiable information, because then you can identify down to the individual user, and that's why it's not safe to allow this to happen through the browser level or the client side tracking. That's why it's only available for the Conversions API tracking. So if you look at the if you have jumped into the Conversions API, I mean the Conversions API tracking within the Events Manager, you should be able to see a section which gives the different events, and if you go into each of these events, you'll also be able to see the breakdown by match quality and the breakdown of the match quality into its constituent components, and it actually gives you several tabs, right? So let's actually go through those server event tabs. So event overview, matching, deduplication, and data freshness. I'm sure you've all seen these tabs. So the event overview, as the name suggests, gives you an overview of the events of the event, and it shows the events received metric for both the Metapixel and the conversions API. That's why you must have seen the word multiple there. And so this is the overall number of events, and then there is event matching. So this is the most the relevant part as far as our current discussion is concerned. So this is where you can look at the customer information, the percentage of events that are being sent. So this you want to be as high as possible, close to 100%, or if not 100% itself. And then this is important. That's what I was saying, that better event matching can result in a increase in additional conversions reported, but then it doesn't guarantee, just sending a customer information parameter doesn't guarantee that it will be matched to a meta ad account. Okay, so it doesn't mean that just because you have sent a customer information parameter that it will be, Facebook will be able to match it to a meta ad account. This is not something that's in your control, not even in Facebook's control, because that person, even if Facebook is able to sort of pin down on who that person is, but that person may not have a meta ad account, so therefore there's nothing to match with, right? So therefore you could still have a high percentage of event sending, but your video, your event match quality score may still be very low, even if you have sent across the customer information parameters. This actually relates to the fact that that you are sending data from two sources, right? You're sending data through the browser, and you're sending it through the conversions API. Now, that same event may be counted twice by Facebook if this process does not happen, right? So deduplication is essentially a way to tell Facebook, or Facebook tells itself in a way that, okay, this is the same event that I'm talking about, and this has been tracked through two different methods, the server side as well as the client side. So this is what deduplication is, and this again should be top notch, and there are some best practices for it. This is highly technical. This would probably, if it's not working properly, you should be taking the help of the developer. So there you go. You can have the event ID here. So the event ID is actually what helps deduplicate. Okay, so deduplication can be done in quite a few ways, but if you're using Tag Manager, this is one of the possibilities that you can look into. So deduplication is important to help Facebook understand that the same event is being referred to here from two different sources, the server side as well as the browser side. Now, actually, let's jump into this document here that I've sort of jotted down the important points. So this is the formula that actually determines the winning ad in an auction. And I think this is something that we really need to go through. Now, what actually determines, so we are talking about performance, right? So what actually determines whether or not a performance is good? We are basically talking about a winning ad, right? So in an auction, there are multiple ads that are entering into the auction. And basically, these ads will have certain parameters, right? So each of them have certain values on the basis of which Facebook is going to decide which one is the winning one. So how is that value calculated? So this is basically what Facebook says happens at the back end. So there's the advertiser bid, which is multiplied by the estimated action rates, and then you have an additional user value added to it. So what does each of these mean? The advertiser bid is nothing but the CPM, you could say. So the CPM, that's basically not what you're setting, but that's the CPM that's getting decided, and that CPM is your bid. Okay, because in case of Google, it's for instance the CPC, but in case of Facebook, it's the CPM. And this, as you know, is primarily determined by the kind of the audience and also the creative. And then the estimated action rates is basically the rate of actions being taken. So that's the CTR and the conversion rate. So these are estimated values. And then to the multiplication of these two, you add the the kind of user value that's getting added. So the user value is calculated by the engagement, the likes, shares, comments, all of that. So that basically is constituting the user value. So a combination of this gives you the total value that determines whether or not the ad is going to win in the auction. So you understand already why event match quality is important, because event match quality is going to determine whether or not you're reaching the right kind of people who take the right valuable actions. So obviously, if you are having a high event match quality, which would in turn mean that you are reaching the right kind of people who take valuable actions, your chances of getting the right winning ads uh, increases. Okay, so that's why your ad performance becomes better. Now, I have already mentioned some of these points, but let's go through them quickly again. So the data send must be accurate. Like I said, it's not just about sending data, it's about sending right data. And not everything is 100% in your control. Now, this is a point that needs to be pointed out. I just talked about what the FBC really is. There's a cookie, and within it there's a the Epic Click ID gets stored. Now, the problem is that it's only going to be available for the percentage of visitors who actually came from Meta, right? Because every click ID gets generated whenever a user clicks on a Facebook ad, right? So that percentage of the total traffic to that website, that is only going to be available for Meta ad, people who have clicked on Meta ads. So that's why this percentage may be low if you are not running as much Facebook ads, as opposed to someone say who is running a lot of Facebook ads. So this depends on your budget. This depends on just how much you are really spending and how much Meta ads are running. Okay, so unfortunately, even if everything else is good, this particular metric, for instance, will always be on the lower side if you're not running too much of Facebook ads, and therefore your even match quality will tend to be on the lower side because of this. I mean, to whatever extent FBC is contributing to your overall even match quality. Hope that makes sense. Moving on to the next one. So this impacts the quality of users targeted and hence performance. Something we have discussed already. This is not about quality and more about the amount of data, and hence don't send wrong data, and it can actually hamper the performance even if the MQ is high. Okay, so theoretically you can still have a high MQ if you're sending a lot of data, but if the data is not connecting to the right Meta ad accounts, it can actually cause a drop in performance. So high MQ is equal to high performance. I have heard people talk about this and actually complaining that my MQ is high, why my performance of ads is not improving. That is not the right kind of one-to-one correlation that you should be drawing. This is not how it works. So high MQ is a good indicator, it's a good starting point, but you should also look at other factors. And if you are sending empty values, now this is also important. There are cases. So let's actually go back to the tag manager setup that I was just talking about. So I spoke about the event ID. This is object parameter properties where you can assign the purchase, the different variables, the currency of value, and then you also have the customer information parameters. You will have to turn on this enable advanced matching here within the tag, and then you will get these sections. You will have to fill these up manually. The variables have been created already, and if I actually if you want to take a look at the variables, I can show you. So just take any variable here. For instance, this will depend what the value is given here. This will depend on the actual data layer. Okay, so e-commerce.email was the syntax that would have to be followed because of the nature of the data layer, the structure of the data layer that was actually present. So if these parameters are correct, they may be correct. The data layer structure may also be correct. So everything might be fine, but there may not be values still being passed through. Okay, this can happen for a number of reasons, and this is something that may be beyond your purview of work. You may have to talk to the developer. So if the value is empty, okay, so you see just a couple of double quotes and nothing within them, that means it's empty. If you look at the data layer, sometimes it happens. This is an important point. Where is it most likely to be missing? This is likely to be missing in upper funnel. So a lot of people make the mistake that they set up the customer information data parameters because in the tag section they don't obviously know what is the the level of the funnel, what is the stage of the funnel that you're setting it up for, right? Now, if you're setting it up for, say, page view, if you're setting it up for, say, add to cart, at these levels, relatively upper funnel levels, if you set up customer information data parameters set up within the Google Tag Manager's tag, it's not going to work because customer information is not available at that stage yet, except for logged in users. So, in most websites which do not require the user to log in, you don't have customer information parameters available for GTM to retrieve, um, whether in the data layer or anywhere else at all, till they reach the purchase stage. So it's only when they are in the checkout phase that they actually start sharing that information. So that's why if you set this up, then you're only going to mislead Facebook, because then you're going to send empty parameters. So that's not a good thing. If you were to set up this thing, how would you go about doing it, right? So in this case, if you look at the variable that has been used, this is the data layer variable, and the data layer variable is following this syntax: e-commerce root first underscore name. Now this is exactly the way that this has been set up. Like I said a while back as well, there's a syntax that it is following, and this syntax is going to vary from case to case. So the case that you have may be different. But we know what's the underlying logic behind it. The underlying logic is that if this is, for instance, the this is a dummy data layer, and within it, as you can see, there's event, customer info. So there's the name of the custom event, or this may be a custom event, or this may be a built-in event. And then you have the object which actually contains the customer information. You will have to figure out which object is layered in what way, and you have to understand and follow the hierarchy of the process. Now, so this will basically be, if you're trying to retrieve first name, you're going to create a data layer variable called first name, which will go into the customer information data parameter section, and then it will be customer dot first name. Essentially, that's pretty much. And then you want to create an email, uh, a data layer for variable for email. Then it's going to be customer dot email. So this is a simple version of the explanation for how to retrieve information from the data layer. It's generally not as easy. It's going to be a little bit more complicated. There's going to be cases where you have to do a little bit more layering. There may be objects within objects, or maybe even arrays within objects. Or so that's basically the overall explanation that I had. I know that I sort of rushed through some of the things, but this was, I tried to be as detailed as possible without making it excessively long, this video, because I've generally got the feedback that people like my shorter videos more, and I think this is the case with almost any content creator. Most people like to watch videos which are relatively manageable. I mean, people don't have hours and hours, right? So I hope that you have got some idea. I've walked through some fairly advanced concepts, some not so advanced ones as well. So at least you should be able to understand what are the things that you are dealing with. There will be areas, if there are particularly, if there are gray areas related to code and stuff, you can always fall back on the developer. But at least you know what you're dealing with and why it's important, and how you should be approaching things. So yeah, I hope this was useful. If you have any questions, feel free to drop in the comments, or you can get in touch with me over LinkedIn.